Who am I? I'm a professor at the Yale School of Management, which is why I'm clinging to old world technology, seizing a podium here and using scraps of paper with hand notes on it at a conference which celebrates the liberating powers of technology. I've been at the evil Harvard University for 18 years before that, before I saw the error of my ways, and complaining about old universities like this, in contrast to what Singularity University represents. H.L. Mencken, roughly 80 years ago, complained that universities like the ones where I've been and where many of you have been tend to teach living languages as if they were dead and dead languages as if they're alive. Obviously, the last 2 days of 40 speakers, that's not what you've been doing. But if there still is a role for the neo-Luddite in the crowd, which there may be just one of us here, is we've come up with a panel topic, a discussion topic for a fireside chat. Taming your technology, tools for transformation or terror. After 2 days of exploring accelerating technological change, let's now address the appropriate and responsible uses of technology. How do we guide technology towards society and business needs and don't leave a generation of people behind or as slaves to the machine? What have we had just in the headlines in the last few days? I just came up from Washington just an hour ago. As you know, the House has passed legislation that would end the NSA's bulk collection of Americans' calling data, but cluster them into phone companies. Instead of the government holding them, allowing the phone company to hold them. But now there are people asking some big questions, Dianne Feinstein of California, of course, and others, wondering, if it's unlawful for the government, is it appropriate for private phone companies to hold all of our phone records out there? And in fact, we're seeing some challenges that are out there today that just this week, Vodafone in Europe, of course, has admitted as one of the world's largest mobile phone groups, the existence of secret wires that allow the government agencies to listen to all the conversations on all of its networks, saying they're widely used in some 29 countries in which it operates, in Europe and beyond, and the company has broken its silence on government surveillance in order to push back against increasingly widespread use of phone and broadband networks to spy on citizens. And there's a lot coming out of some new disclosure acts talking about those capabilities. Also this week, we've seen the first case of actual facial recognition software used for a thief's conviction. We've had screening for airports and certainly at ballparks and things like that. But this is a major triumph for, if you see it this way, for the court system. We've seen that Google could face cyber courts in Germany. They have created special cyber courts in Germany. We know about the sort of the quest for anonymity that are being litigated in different parts of Europe. And we could move from information technology, since I think a wonderful thing about Singularity University, it embraces the entire portfolio of technology out there. What frontiers are there? And of course, in biotech, what is out there? Can we patent life is a big question. It was in about the time that some people in this room were born, about the time I was born, on Edward R. Murrow's show, Jonas Salk appeared talking about the polio vaccine. And Murrow said, well, who's going to own this extraordinarily valuable item? Who will have the patent on this vaccine? And Salk was confused, and he said, who owns it? The society owns it. Who owns the sun? That was his retort. It wasn't so simple, though, in bioresearch since. There is a software company that some of you may be familiar with, which has a pretty large stake of in fact, the human genome. I think around 12% of it they have managed to patent, and they've managed to hold these legal patents for many dread diseases, from Alzheimer's to breast cancer. And in fact, exactly a year ago, this was in the headlines because Angelina Jolie had a special diagnosis of a rare form of breast cancer. There was a $3,000 diagnostic test, didn't break the bank for her, but it raised the question, is that fair? Because this one company that had the rights to this human genome was entitled to hold this. This is Myriad, if those of you following biotech, held that. And they said, we have to be able to patent these genes to encourage research like anywhere else. Let me ask you, just with a show of hands, we won't be held accountable, how many of you think it's right that a company be able to own the genes to the patents to the human genome? Just one. You think it's a setup. You're afraid I'm going to call on the rest of you. I don't grade any of you. You could make up whatever. You could argue with me. Well, guess what? Sir, good for you, because the Federal Appeals Court in Washington, D.C. upheld that. They said it is a significant advance itself to extract the DNA, separate it from the human body, and even though Watson and Crick managed to do it without patenting it, that they can patent genes, and they upheld it. But it's a year ago tomorrow that in a rare 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court reversed the appeals court and said, no, you can't call that an innovation. You didn't build anything, you didn't create anything. Just by separating out a gene, you haven't created it. And separation is not. We have a lot of loose boundaries out there. When we look at technology, who owns what? Where are the boundaries? What are the responsibilities of engineers that we celebrate here these last 2 days? What are the responsibilities of scientists? What are the responsibilities of technology financiers of many of you out there? The person who was first on the American scene to argue scientists must know sin was nobody else other than Robert Oppenheimer, of course, who was the chief scientist of the Manhattan Project, the research director of the Manhattan Project, who had second thoughts about the catastrophic capabilities he helped create. He said there are no patentable secrets in the world of nature. The only secrets are in the thoughts and intentions of humanity. Those are the secrets to understand. So now it gets back to people, it gets back to humanity. As we look at our topic, are we going to wrestle to the ground these tough issues in cyberspace or human gene or other issues which are in the news in just the last few days? Well, actually, no. This is a little bit of a bait and switch. The topics we asked are entirely too enormous to answer in the time available. But if we look to the human genome, we set that up as a metaphor for actually looking to human beings. As we move from technology to the human spirit, the human capability, is what do we leave out of the equation the last 2 days that this conference organizers have the wisdom to ask about, and that is about the endless capability, the challenges, the wisdom, what is perhaps not easily reduced to artificial intelligence of human decision-making and human spirit. To help us on this, we are very fortunate to have, not me, somebody that ask some good questions, hopefully, because I don't have the answers. But that's Lynn Tildon, who is not an engineer, she's not a scientist, but she's somebody who embraces innovation in many profound ways. Lynn, I read through some headlines, and is also in the headlines just today, Lynn, or just this week, we see that unemployment numbers on the surface look kind of good. We have 217,000 new jobs created in May. We have official unemployment rate of 6.3%, pretty close to what economists were hoping for. And the 8.5, almost 9 million jobs that were lost in the collapse of 2008, we have ostensibly recovered those jobs. Did technology do this? Do we have no more problems and we don't need to worry about our workforce anymore? They should just hop on board and watch the miracle of invention take us there? Or do you worry about the American workforce?
Well, I worry. I built a business around giving people the dignity of work. And so, of course, I worry. I also don't agree that we have reemployed all those we've lost, because we haven't looked at the sort of 11 million people who have joined the labor force and the 14 million people who have dropped out of the labor force. But more serious than that is what's coming. And that is really that technology is moving at such an exponential speed that we really will replace a lot of this labor force with robotics. And some say over the next 20 years, we could lose 50% of our labor force. And so from my perspective, and being sort of an alumni of Singularity University, is I know that technology is here to stay, and that there are so many exciting parts in terms of product creation, but that we have to take humanity with us, that we can't just look at having no assets and no people and leaving half the population behind. And as I often tell Peter, is I'm sort of trying to stand as the bridge between, humanity and technology and manufacturing and innovation. And I think if we work from the final outcome backward of where we're going, where the world is going, and where technology is going, and we begin to bring humanity along with us, both in turning vocational schools into smart manufacturing schools, in terms of looking at businesses that will continue to employ people, that we have a chance of moving into this new technological age and excitement, but taking humanity with us. Otherwise, I always say it will end badly for all of us.
There are various catastrophic neo-Luddite type publications that come out there that will worry us about the de-skilling of jobs and the fact that we are informating is supposed to be different than automating, that we're supposed to bring human invention back into it. What do you see in any of your companies where people have come up with the great ideas and it wasn't the technology itself, but people working in partnership with technology to help revive businesses? When I think of, I don't know, the miracle, what you've been doing for thinking of Rand McNally, that I noticed a number of people look especially surprised that they're back in business. That's becoming a technology story in some ways, isn't it?
Well, look, everything begins with product. Every company works from the customer backward. And the two things that people want in product is design, to be enveloped in elegance, and disruption, to be excited by innovation and technology. And the more that you can merge all of that in product, the more you're gonna move a company forward. Because in the end, as Jay said earlier, we're still enveloped in hardware and things, and we still have things that we want to own. And so if you can create exciting product, you can make it that, you can bring people with you. But the reality is that if you're not changing the product you're making, if it's not embracing, artificial intelligence and robotics and sensors and chips and LiDAR and radar and, using virtual design and additive manufacturing and the Internet of Things, your product probably won't be exciting to people.
Any examples? I know I don't want to reveal any state secrets here with some of the edgy things you've been developing with some Israeli partners and some others, but any ways you've brought in some new technologies that have been quite revolutionary for the revival of these businesses?
Well, I think the confluence of the virtual and real world for me is a life changer. To be able to dream, design, build, and experience in the virtual world and then merge it with reality, both in terms of the rapid-fire product to market, as well as in terms of being able to manufacture and launch much more efficiently, but also in product, the use of sensors and chips, taking, in the automotive industry, mechanical parts to Megatronic.
You just had a great award from Ford Motor Company, if you don't mind me saying, last week. What did Dora do, and how technology helped that Ford celebrated you guys as the technology, as the supplier partner of the year?
Well, first of all, I think it is that I'm dreaming in product. And I will tell you that a lot of that comes from being exposed to this great world of technology, to seeing where people are going with autonomous cars and drones. And I'm able to take that and integrate and extrapolate to my world. So where I was a builder of mechanical parts, I'm now building Megatronic parts, which is using software, electronics, and mechanical parts together in systems. And because I'm a girl, I like beautiful things, I'm actually using design as a facet that's not often seen in automotive to really create, using near-field technology, security systems and exterior trim, and using golds and LED lighting. So it's really about taking some of the amazing things that's being done in the world of technology and bringing it back to everyday product, because people are still going to buy cars. People are still driving cars, and yes, they're going to be connected very quickly, and eventually there will be a large part of the car market that will be autonomous. But till that time, there's a lot that we can do to be much more efficient in how we make it and much more exciting in what we make.
I think it's fascinating that you turn to Dora as the example. So many people would think that some of the most accessible design opportunities would be in Stilla and Jane Cosmetics and the media world of where Spiegel has become basically as a very high-end retailer and or online retailer, or others. But you turn to heavy industry, I think is fascinating, especially looking at automotive, where we are looking at companies that were, until recently, we thought of them as in a survival fight rather than in an invention mode. And yet you marry invention and survival. You don't see them as antithetical, that you have to have a fire sale, as a fortress mentality. Instead, you say, we build a new future not by shrinking our way to greatness. In fact, if we move to the paper industry, which I didn't feature in your bio, but think of some heavy industry. These were pulp and paper mills given up for dead, that you've gone in there and even brought pulp instead of, they start making jet fuel there, and an old fine printing mill that starts making tissue papers and stuff. You're getting people excited about reinventing who they are. So these places that were shuttered when the workers were in their 40s, late 40s, and the hospitals and schools closed, you open them up again, and here in the mid-50s, everybody's back at work and excited about a new technologically infused future by redefining their products.
If I were building businesses from scratch just to, make money, I'd be doing something very different. But I have a lot of infrastructure, I have a lot of heavy manufacturing, and I have a lot of people who I need to care for. And there are ways to use what's being created to do very exciting things. And I think that the people embrace that. People want to be excited about what they do. They want to evolve. They want to innovate. I mean, there are bad people everywhere who want an easy ride, but in general, if we can bring something new and we can get people excited about product, we can get people excited about the innovation of process and improving and being better about what they do, people do want that. And I will tell you that this world of technology that I've been exposed to has allowed me to save many companies that I wouldn't save and a lot of jobs that I would not have been able to save.
I know, I'm glad you mentioned there are good people and bad people, because even the world of private equity gets categorized, whether or not, in that simplistic formula of, Woody Allen said there are two types of people in the world, good people and bad people, and I believe he said the good people sleep better at night, but the bad people have a lot more fun in the waking hours. If there are good people and bad people in the world of finance even, you don't quite see yourself as a financier. You're more of an industrialist. When you walk in to these shuttered towns and say, I'm here from Wall Street, I'm here to help you, how do you win over their skepticism and that they believe in a new future, that they haven't been left behind by technology?
Well, I think few people see me as a Wall Street person at this point. But people, when I walk in, people are hopeless and desperate, and they're going to lose their jobs, which means that there's not much choice. I mean, I'm not sure I'm as charming and as inspirational, more the Lady of Light or Salvation, but mostly you get people to believe by how you perform. And if you can sort of dream the dream, it's about dreaming the dream. And if you can show them that they can build it, then they follow pretty quickly. And so for me, it's about self-reflection, self-evolution, and getting better and better at what I do so that I can take people along with me.
Is that my number right, 120,000 or so people as
Today,
your workforce?
but 700,000 jobs in the 243 companies that I've owned
How many
since
families?
2000.
It's amazing.
But it's harder. It's not what it used to be. It used to be the art of restructure. Now it's the art of reinvention. And not everything will survive, but the more that I learn, the more that I'm able to dream and design and build an experience in a short duration of time, the more that will come with me.
Of those 75 plus or minus companies, you've often had to serve in an interim or a long-term basis CEO of several. How do you stay on top of such different fields?
Well, I think the fact that I've built every company, I've bought every company, I've been the strategy behind building every company, you begin to know them. And then you also know that I work 20 hours a day and have a photographic memory. So
it's scary.
That helps, but I'm still an imperfect being, and I don't always get it right. And leadership is the hardest part of what I do.
As a professor of leadership, I really want to pick up on that selfishly, but I'll try to restrain myself for a moment, is thinking of the way you work, the 30-hour days, 10 days a week. As you know, our friend Arianna Huffington worries about overstressed executives. The truth is, in your case, you're like an artist with an easel, a classic type A person. She was captain of the tennis team back when she was at Yale, is if somebody takes away the easel from you, you'd be more frustrated being on a vacation probably than being immersed in what you're doing.
So long as I have to do it. I mean, I could walk away from all of this and live on an island somewhere. But if I have this to do, then it's easier to keep moving and keep addressing the issues, or the stress level is much higher. You know, if I sit back when the barn is burning, it's very scary. If you keep addressing the issues and you keep driving to the crisis and you keep dreaming, then it all becomes a lot more able to be handled.
You know, Lord North once said, of course, they lost the war and lost this country, but Lord North had once said, the only vacation I need is a different set of problems. Do you find it rejuvenating just to turn to a different business and find a new set of its challenges?
No.
No.
I find it rejuvenating to pick up a book or watch Netflix.
Well, not that you get to that. And the Peter Diamandis, Rob, they'll probably all get mad at me for asking this question because there's nothing promotional about this. I wasn't scripted to say it, but I'm fascinated by Singularity University. I'm fascinated with how enthusiastic you got by that vacation of new ideas when you first got involved. And please forgive me, I'm just curious to know, what was it that so rejuvenated you by doing what these people are doing, coming off to events that are stirring up fresh ideas? Because in the old line university world, this is what we thought we were in business doing.
Well, you know that I rarely go to events.
Right.
I go to those that Peter pulls together and those that you pull together.
Oh, thank you.
And for different reasons. But for me, I am responsible for taking these companies to the future, learning more and more about the great things that people are doing in the world of technology, reignited in me the ability to dream, the ability to see from the final outcome backward, to create. And you know, you're around people who want to change the world, who want to do things that no one else has done, but also do care about humanity. And I thought that I didn't belong in this world because I'm a heavy lifter, I'm an industrialist. And in a minute, people embraced me because they want that bridge between technology and humanity. And they see me as someone who can help with that. And so I'm ignited, I'm inspired, and I'm welcomed. And for me, and I'm very honest about what I care about and what I do. And so I think it's great that Singularity has come to New York. I think it's great that that industrialists and corporate America is exposed to some of these great things. And so that maybe we can build a bridge. Because I think 47% or 50% of the workforce replaced by robotics by 2020, or in 20 years. You know, different people say different things. And just giving people basic needs and not having them work doesn't look at the loss of dignity, sort of the disgrace and disruption in a different way that could possibly end in violence in the streets and revolution.
It's a critical issue that motivates you. It's a sense of fairness and social justice, and yes, with 19 seconds to go, we can't get into Thomas Piketty and your views of social justice, but you can get a sense for it from what she said. There are other issues on leadership, where if Kay and Koplovitz and Lynn were together, for those of you who had the good fortune of seeing Kay, there's a fascinating discussion. You say welcomed everywhere. The two of you are, but it wasn't always easy as women bursting into the all-men's clubs the way you did.
No, I mean, look, I think that it's been a difficult path, but part of that is just the obstacles. And as I always say, women's destinies will change when we begin by being kind to each other.
Women journalists have sometimes been the toughest, haven't they?
I certainly have been attacked more by women than by other men.
I mean, you take a look at the articles on Mary Barra, or the problems that she had, not with the plaintiff's bar, but with the Senate. It was often the women senators that were toughest on Mary Barra and GM, maybe deservedly so, but the gender issues, when you look at Marissa Mayer's press, where she gets humiliated and set up, or you're looking, of course, at Yahoo, or looking at Ginny Rometty at IBM. There are some very exciting examples of women who really are the real deal when it comes to technology, leadership, and finance. There's nothing ceremonial. They've really earned their stripes, as you have in all these different businesses. And I wish there were the time to ask Lynn, if she hadn't gone into this line of work, what else she might have done, clergy or something?
Well, you know my spiritual roots. And as you bring up the other women, I want to make it clear that I support each one of them with my whole heart. And I think that for each woman that rises to the top, it makes the path much more smooth for the next. And I think someday we women are going to come together and show that standing shoulder to shoulder, we're the greatest force of nature. And, I hope that before I'm done, that the one great thing I do is to teach women that together we're a mighty force.
Well, it's an inspirational.
I think they want us off the stage.
Yes, it is an inspirational close, and Lynn has picked up on all the evil signals we're getting, how we've gone a minute and a half into extra innings here. So we are definitely at a crossroads. It's the time to pass on the microphones and the baton. Woody Allen, since he's come up before in our discussion, did say that humanity faces a crossroads. One path, we face utter despair and hopelessness, and the other path, total extinction. Let us hope we have the wisdom to choose wisely. But anyhow, thank you very much for your patience and your interest. Great job, Lynn. Thank you.